Okay, we're back again with the latest chapter in the Revell monogram 98 Pontiac Firebird Ram Air build. This time we'll be looking at the rear suspension, the wheels, tires, and brakes. Now, if you're building the kit right out of the box, this is what they're going to want you to do. You have the calipers and brakes, which get mounted, and rotors, which get mounted to the rear axle. Then the two halves of the wheel get installed in the tire, and then that gets pressed onto the axle, and it'll click into place and lock into place. Now, the only issue with this is, if you look at the brake rotor and caliper assembly, this is the back of the rotor, where you get a nicely detailed caliper. But when you get to the front, there's nothing there. Basically, you get half a caliper molded to the rotor. Now, the reason they do this is because the inner wheel half is completely solid. When you look at the front of the wheel and tire package, the front of the wheel is, there we go. You can see focus now. When you look through the spokes, all you see is the front of the inner wheel. You won't see the brake hardware at all. Now, if you look at the car from underneath, you will see, this is what you'll see. You have a rotor back there, you have a caliper. Now, I just thought it was a shame to have this kind of detail on the inside and nothing on the outside. So even though I was trying to make this a box stock build, I can't help myself, and I had to try and figure out how to make this a little bit better. So what I decided to do was cut out the center of the inner wheel. That is glued to the outer wheel, and you have to make sure you center it properly so that the car will sit straight when you're done. Now, when you look through the spokes, you can't see that center hub. Then what I would do is take this caliper and rotor assembly and use a little bit of sheet styrene. I made a template for it and cut out of the sheet styrene the outer half of the caliper. Then take a little super glue, attach that to the inner part of the caliper. Then a little sanding to smooth it all out and make the outer and inner parts match each other. Then what I'll take is a piece of round sprue, and I make the, if you look on the back, that round part in the center of the caliper is where the piston rides. Now, I will match it on the outside so that it'll look as if we have a 2-piston caliper on this car. Then a little paint, and this is the end result. Add a little Tamiya panel line paint, and we end up with a full caliper there we go. We end up with a full caliper assembly on the rotor. As you can see there, the completed caliper. And now, once we mount the modified wheel and hub, this is our final result. And we still have a rolling wheel with full brake package, fully visible behind the spokes, which I think is a vast improvement over just looking at this. Let's do a side-by-side comparison of what you actually see. That's the difference between the stock and my modified build. I think it's a huge improvement. Definitely makes the look of the wheel package on the car. It's a very nicely cast wheel. The chrome is really nice on it. And this, I think, being able to see the brakes behind it just kind of sets it off. So now we're in the process of modifying the remaining brakes and wheels and getting ready for install into the vehicle. Here we have one of the springs and shocks, along with just a made-up brand marker on it. Kind of looks like a Coney a little bit. As it sits in the car this way, you can see the shock absorber, springs, anti-roll bar. Here's a detailed driveshaft assembly. Let's see, can we focus in on that? There's a detailed driveshaft assembly. These cars apparently came with aluminum drive shafts, even though the instructions tell you to paint them black. I would prefer to go with the aluminum. Adds a little more visual interest to the underside of the car. Even here you can see the back of the caliper, and you can see right through the wheel. Even the shocks, which they tell you to paint black, I thought red just made it a little more interesting, give you something a little more to look at when you're looking underneath the vehicle. And here we can see it installed in the car. Just mocking it up really quick. Give you an idea of what it'll look like. And there's the rear suspension. The red shocks stand out. The drive shaft also stands out. Looks really good. So we are good to go there. All right. We'll be back with the next chapter and the next update soon. All right. See you on the next one.